Hey, it's Dan. Welcome back to the Rumpus Room. Today we're revisiting the Musician Audio Pegasus DAC, which I've owned since around 2020. I briefly referred to it in a previous video, and I'm going to discuss how the new Pegasus III compares. The Pegasus III has the same R2R DNA, same overbuilt case, same selection of inputs on the back, but now we've got selectable filters, a remote, and a significant update to the digital brain inside this thing. This impression video is about how the original compares to version 3 and whether this is a real step forward. As you may have experienced many times when a version 2 hi-fi product is released, there isn't a big difference in sound. Some manufacturers make minor changes resulting in a subtle performance shift. They increase the price, of course, and release it to stay current or relevant. I'm going to start with a quick refresher, as some of you may not be familiar with the Musician Audio line of products, or their DACs. Musician Audio is a newer company launched around 2020 with several audio products offered, including a line of R2R DACs. I purchased mine used a few years ago and was impressed with the sound right from the first day I auditioned it. I didn't know anything about Musician Audio as a company. All I knew was their components were available through Amazon and some other overseas websites. After doing a bit of research online, I came to find out that the Musician line of products was highly regarded and reportedly offered impressive sound performance at reasonable prices. Now, YouTube has several reviews of the original Pegasus DAC, and most were favorable, actually more than favorable. There were a few glowing reviews. I personally really enjoy the sound of the original Pegasus. Clean and somewhat laid back, a warm musical sound, but detailed. No sign of sibilance in those high frequencies, and of course that's depending on the track. Both the original and the version 3 Pegasus DAC use the R2R ladder structure or architecture, precision resistors doing the digital analog conversion. I've talked previously about how R2R DACs seem to have a smoother musical presentation compared to some of the chip-based DACs. In my experience, R2R takes off those harsh edges. The DAC has a variety of digital inputs on the back: USB, coax, AES, optical, and I2S. On the output side, you have the choice between single-ended RCA and balanced out. And yes, the original and the version 3 versions are fully balanced through the XLR cables. As a side note, you can't connect both RCA and XLR at the same time. You've got to choose one or the other. Now, where things start to split a bit is with the NOS or non-oversampling option. The original Pegasus already gave you that option. You could select from on or off just by pushing a button. Now, when I refer to NOS or non-oversampling option, it basically means there's no digital upsampling, no heavy filtering, just more direct path from digital to analog. So what's the upside? Well, there's more natural transients. The transients are the sudden spikes or impact sounds before a sustained note. These sounds are most oftentimes brief and of high impact. Think of a kick drum or a hammer on a piano coming down onto the string. The trade-off? A slight roll-off up top, which gives the smoother, laid-back, romantic sound, but can also be interpreted as a bit slow and less etched detail. Now, before I get into this too far, I should state I did have experience with the Pegasus II for a short time as a loaner. I didn't find enough of a difference compared to the original, so I didn't go looking for one to replace the original. It has received some great reviews, but I'm pretty happy with the original Pegasus in my system, and I had no desire to spend extra money on an upgrade. Now, the Pegasus III keeps that non-oversampling option, but adds a bit more flexibility. You're no longer locked into NOS being on or off. You've now got no oversampling mode, so that classic R2R sound, or oversampling modes along with selectable filters. And those filters, they subtly change how the DAC presents the music. It's like an additional layer. Think of it less like EQ and more like shaping the edges of the sound. One filter might feel a bit tighter or more focused, and that would be the fast roll-off option. Another might sound a bit more smoother or more relaxed, and that would be the slow roll-off. It's not night and day, but it's enough to, get things dialed into your system. One of the biggest upgrades of the Pegasus III is the FPGA, or the Field Programmable Gate Array. And this is where things get technical, but I'll try and keep it grounded. The FPGA is basically the DAC's digital control center. In the Pegasus III, it's been upgraded to handle digital signal processing more accurately, improve timing and synchronization, and reduce jitter or distortions in converting the digital signal to analog, and better management of the non-oversampling and oversampling modes. So this translates into cleaner transients. Notes stay a bit longer before they fade off, better separation of instruments and vocals, and more stable imaging. So even before the signal hits that R2R ladder, it's already in better and cleaner shape. On top of that, the Pegasus III also brings a few hardware upgrades. Tighter resistor matching in that R2R ladder, improved and quieter power supply, a refined analog output stage, and an updated USB implementation. All right, let's get into what matters. I'll start with the soundstage. The original Pegasus was wide. Music imaged 2 to 3 feet beyond my speakers. It was relaxed but not slow. It was slightly soft, not as crisp as a chip-based DAC. The new Pegasus III has more depth and slightly wider soundstage, maybe 3 to 5 feet beyond the speakers, a more defined placement of vocals and instruments. It's got a better sense of front-to-back layering, and I noticed an improved vertical soundstage in my system compared to the original. How about layering and separation? This is where the version 3 really pulls ahead. The original blends things together in a very musical way. The 3, it's still musical, but now you can clearly hear individual layers inside the mix. Now, the track I used to compare the two was Arcade Fire's Crown of Love. The violin strings and piano are on a whole different plane, and the vocals are more separated. It sounds more organized without sounding too clinical. In terms of imaging, the Pegasus III locks things in. Instruments don't drift, they sit exactly where they should. The original was more fluid, the 3 is more precise. How do they compare tonally? Well, the original is warm, slightly rounded, and it's easy listening, great for those long listening sessions. I've never experienced fatigue with the original version. The Pegasus III, though, is more neutral, better extended in those upper frequencies, tighter bass, and a much cleaner mid-range. Still very much classic R2R presentation, just felt it was a bit more controlled. Now, non-oversampling versus oversampling in filters, here's the cool part. If you flip the Pegasus III into non-oversampling mode, you get something very close to the original Pegasus vibe. Smooth, natural, and relaxed. Switch it over to the oversampling with filters and things tightened up. More clarity, more edge definition, a bit more modern presentation. Almost a hybrid R2R Delta Sigma mix, but the music still leans towards that R2R presentation. So you're basically getting multiple personalities in one DAC. Here's another example. The track Flying by Jackie Venson from her Evolution of Joy album starts with a finger snap percussion that goes for about 30 seconds. The finger snap has an echo, and with the original Pegasus DAC, the echo is a bit blurred. The echo and the finger snap are so close together in timing that the finger snap slightly overlaps the echo. In the Pegasus III, it defines the snap and the echo more precisely in time. You can hear both more clearly, even though they're so close in timing. Now, let's talk about something simple, but honestly, kind of a big deal. And it's the remote. The original Pegasus, you were getting up, pressing buttons, getting your 10,000 steps in, and changing settings through that front panel. The Pegasus III, you now can control with the remote. with some caveats that I'll touch on later. You've got the ability to select the digital input, the oversampling on or off, I2S pin configuration, filter modes, phase, and you also have a mute button. And that matters more than you think, because it encourages you to experiment with the DAC and the sound. As a quick side note, the remote also has an analog input and volume control section towards the bottom. I tried using these with my Musician Audio preamp, but no luck. After reaching out to Musician, I was informed that they are to control a new preamp coming out soon. The Pegasus III is a bit more finicky to set up initially. More DACs these days are integrating screens, which are fantastic to be able to see what input has been selected, or if your oversampling is on or off, or what filter is active. The Pegasus lacks a screen, and the printed text and LEDs are small, so it's hard to see what input or filter is functioning. I understand the focus with Musician Audio is to produce a high-end product at a competitive price, but a screen would be a nice addition, even if it adds a bit of extra cost. Depending on how you're running your system, you might find yourself adjusting and testing a few options to get everything dialed in. It's not complicated, but a bit time-consuming. There are a series of steps required to make a change in the settings. For example, to access the NOS off or on, you're required to push a series of buttons. First, the setup button, then the input button to select the optical input. Then you hit the setup button again to toggle the NOS on or off. This can be done on the front of the unit or through the remote. Once it's set, you're good. But expect a little bit of tinkering up front, and don't lose the manual because you may not remember the button selection procedure to make those changes. So where does that leave us? The original Pegasus is still a great DAC and available on many used audio sites. It's still a good buy and better than most entry-level R2R DACs, even compared to some of the most current offerings. It's warm, smooth, and easy to listen to. The Pegasus III, it builds on that foundation and adds precision, flexibility, and better technical performance, and way more control over how your system sounds. Plus, that remote alone makes it a more livable piece of gear day to day. It's nice to be able to switch inputs and play with filter settings from your listening position. Now, I know I'll get messages in the comments on how this DAC compares to other DACs in the similar price category. The Pegasus retails for around $1,200 US, $1,600 Canadian. There are many DACs available in this price category. I don't have many comparisons. I've listened to the Live U DAC and I felt the Pegasus III simply outperformed the Live. The Pegasus III is more open, the layering and the soundstage is wider and definitely taller. I've also had a short time with the Live Harmony DAC, but that was some time ago and I don't have one available to compare side by side. It did outperform the original Pegasus, and from what I remember, the Live Harmony was very impressive. But it's double the price of the Pegasus III, and I don't think it delivers double the performance. Another reason I like the Pegasus III in my system is the synergy. As you may already be aware of, components from the same manufacturer tend to play well together. The Musician Audio Pegasus III matches my preamp. I'm sure in the development of the latest Pegasus III DAC, the preamp was used extensively, so that may be why this DAC sounds so good in my system. To summarize, the original Pegasus still holds its ground. It's warm, it's smooth, and it just lets you settle into the music without overthinking it. Like I mentioned previously, if you can find one on the used market, they're a fantastic buy, especially if you want to audition the sound of a well-configured and designed R2R DAC. But the Pegasus III takes that original foundation and refines it. You're getting more control, more precision, and the flexibility to shape the sound depending on your system or even your mood that day. Want that classic non-oversampling presentation? It's there. Want something a little tighter, more defined? You've got that too. And honestly, once you start using the remote and flipping between those settings from your listening chair, you realize this just isn't an upgrade in sound. It's an upgrade in how you interact with your system. So yeah, it feels like a natural evolution, not a complete departure. but more complete version of what Pegasus was always aiming for. I ended up using the oversampling mode with the slow roll-off filter. It seems to hit the sweet spot for most of my listening. So those are my impressions of the Audio Musician Pegasus, the original, and the new Pegasus III. Thank you for spending some time in the Rumpus Room. I appreciate you taking a break out of your busy day to watch. Please like the video and subscribe and share this video with another audio enthusiast. Also, comment below if you've had a chance to hear either of the Musician DACs or made a change from a chip-based DAC to an R2R DAC. I'd be curious to hear what your impressions are. Until next time, enjoy the music.